Hello there, you awakening wonders. Thanks for joining me today for Stay Free with Russell Brand. And it's an extraordinarily special episode that we're bringing you because I've got a fantastic conversation coming up with Rob Schneider. The first 20 minutes will be widely available, then we'll be exclusively streaming on Rumble. And if you don't have Rumble Premium yet, get Rumble Premium. For those of you that are watching us on Locals, we will continue to provide our content there, but our main priority is Rumble Premium, where you get ad-free content as well as additional content every single week. Rob Schneider, you may know from SNL, from all of his Sandler movies, or from his puckish, playful spirit. You may have seen him recently in alternative media. You may have seen him talking increasingly about political issues. What I know about Rob Schneider is he has this incredible sense of play about him. In our conversation, we talk about Hollywood, what it's like to feel embraced by the culture and celebrated and then rejected and purged. It's an extraordinary experience and a brilliant conversation. I think that Rob Schneider is a brilliant example of how modern media makes autodidacts of us all. Suddenly we all are well versed in subjects like how the food industry learned from the tobacco industry how to addict us to its products, and now all of us know how institutional politics and centralized media operates. It's a brilliant conversation and I hope you will enjoy it. Before you do see it though, remember that on Rumble Premium you can watch my conversations on Break Bread. This week I spoke to Dallas Jenkins, creator of The Chosen. It's a fantastic conversation. As you can see from that picture there, it's available on Rumble Premium. Go check it out now. Okay, without further dallying, hullabaloo or nonsense, here's my conversation with Rob Schneider. Rob, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for your leadership during all these crazy years. And it's
all I want. Thank you. I only want to discuss daddy-daughter trip. That's the only thing I want to discuss today. It came up on... I'm not interested in censorship. I'm not interested in SNL. I'm not interested in making the movement from mainstream to the periphery. I'm not interested in like the concept of coolness. You know, like how sort of some people are sort of like. I'll tell you when this came to my mind, Rob, is when I was at the RNC, and I was there at that minute when Hulk Hogan tore off his top and went, "My president!" And I thought, oh my God, what is this? What am I part of now? And then I thought, well, how is this really any different from George Clooney, you know, sort of like, or Taylor Swift or anyone? You know, the idea of a celebrity endorsement, the idea of there being hierarchies and categories of cool. Now, one of the people that you've
it exposed what it really was. It's all performance. It all is. It's all a theater. It just, what it did is, I think it's least, for one thing, our side isn't being paid, unlike the Oprah Winfrey. I was talking to one of her friends recently, because when she lied and said, like, you may never get to vote again if you don't vote for Kamala. And I was like, that is just such a blatant, bold-faced, ugly lie. It's one thing to want to support somebody, you know, and because you're a lifetime Democrat or whatever, but to somebody to just lie that blatantly, there's just got to be something behind it. I want to know what the thinking was there. So, you know, I thought when he, you know, politics has degraded so much, but forget about the degradation of it. If you think about what the exposing for what it really is. The ugliness of it, and I think we've been able to really kind of see it now so clearly, and maybe it's always been there. So there was just all this artifice. It also reminds me of like that thing in The Godfather, where Michael Corleone is talking to Diane Keaton's character, and she says, "You know, but that's your father is doing these horrible, you know, that scene," and he said, you're being naive. How naive is that your father, you don't know what your father is capable of doing? And then he explains, Michael Corleone says, yes, but my father's not anything different than a senator or a president or a governor. And she says, that's naive. And she said, well, who's naive now? You know, I think I'm butchering that scene completely.
She goes, congressmen and senators don't have people killed, Michael. And he said, now who's being naive? And I think, we're seeing like that sort of, really that's what's been exposed is like, say if you watch the Democratic convention.
I like my shitty version too, where I couldn't remember it. I like mine better. You know where Michael talking Diane, he said something, then she says something. I feel like Carly. Remember that time when you were talking and then you were talking, he said and he said, remember that?
You missed all of the key details of the entire bit, Rob. Now you've turned to an acai bowl for comfort. Yeah, but like, because I suppose, look, what I wanted to like somewhat talk about is like the branding of politics. And when I watched like the DNC versus the RNC, I recognize that what it is the production was slick. It looked like the award shows that I used to participate in. And as I've moved right out of that space, like out of Hollywood, out of making movies, out of some of those relationships and friendships, you know, and like there are so many things packed into the cultural space that we now live in, that it's inferior, that it's racist, that it's somehow contaminated. And at points I felt like, oh, wow. Like, say when the Golden Globes is on, Rob, do you feel like because I've noticed this when I hang out with you, it's really weird to be part of Hollywood and to be part of them institutions. And I've seen that you, like, once when we did a thing with Tucker, I saw that we were doing like a signing, like, you know, when you meet and greet, a kind of meet and greet afterwards. And I think like a lot of people, that can be kind of hard to do that if you're not doing it in the right spirit, like, you know, sort of, you know, especially when it's someone else's event and you're just an appendage, really. Like you feel like, do I even need to be here for this? I saw that. I thought, oh look, Rob's able to go into a really numb, almost catatonic state to get through this experience. And I wonder how you think about
Hollywood. Hollywood is this elitist thing, and like, first of all, before you're in, you're trying to get in, and then when you're in, the whole time you're in is like, am I in? Am I really in? How in am I? Am I in deeply? Am I? And then it's like the most, I remember Peter Riegert, who was this wonderful actor from Local Hero and from Animal House. He said to me, you do realize that you decided to make your living in the most elitist art form ever invented, show business. It is, because you can, you know, I remember this one actress that I met, she was English, which is also, believe it or not, you guys can be very elitist as well. She said, no. I've already worked with 3 Academy Award-winning directors and actors and writers, and it is so. And then once you're in it, there's like there's this level, and then there's this level and this level, and so yeah, it's an odd thing. But once you accept that you don't need it, or you don't feel like it offers anything to you, then they can't touch you anymore. So that's the interesting thing. So like when you feel like that necessity, I never felt in anyway, you know, and I always felt like, you know, the comedies were more fun and more difficult. I remember I was with I think our mutual friend John Cleese, and I was saying, tell me about your friend Adam Sandler. And I said, what is he doing? I said, he's doing these dramas. And I said, it's because, and he said, I think the word you're looking for is easier. Dramas, I mean, comedies are more difficult. They just really are. And, but because it seems so frivolous and silly, even though it's, you know, the people in it and doing it and realize how the difficulty of it is. But what I guess I'm getting back to is this, that kind of elitist feeling of, you know, are you in, are you not in, are you not really in, or you're not that level or this category. And it's all a game, and it's all, you know, I think in the same thing with this political thing where they feel that you have to fit into that. And if you can't be outside that group, and that group is that liberal intelligentsia, it's that Democrat group. And if you're out of it, you're out. And there's no, as you know, there is no way of forgiveness, and there is no, it's a vindictive set of people. And once you're out, you're out. I mean, once I made a joke about, like, you know, Hillary Clinton when she lost, I said, I haven't seen the the Democrats just pissed off since we freed the slaves. That was kind of it.
Yeah, there's
How was
no
that?
way back. There's no way back. Rob, what have you got your laptop resting on? Like an aquarium, some jello, springs? Like every time you gesticulate, it's like the whole system is vibrating.
Shaking.
Yeah.
I'll show
What
you.
have you got
I'll
it?
show you. Let's get the mystery out of the way. Look at that.
Monopoly,
It's the
right? While
Monopoly
you
game. Wicked.
wicked branded Monopoly, while you claim to decry the system of Hollywood, you yourself are resting upon a literal monopoly, Rob, a literal monopoly. Like I remember feeling when I was like part of that Hollywood scene. We've done, by the way, we've been in one film together. I bet you don't know what that film is. I bet you can't remember. When I was part of that system,
Bedtime stories.
yes. Like when I was part of it, I really felt like, you know, you're right. Like there is a feeling of, am I in enough? Am I in enough? And like being around like Sandler, I always thought of him as a pretty unique individual. Even then, here were the things I thought. This guy's probably Republican, and at that time you couldn't even talk about it. You sort of, it was like, wow, yeah, that would have made you a pariah. Like even like it was something that couldn't be discussed at that time. I remember that. I also remember thinking that he had anchored himself somehow in normalness in a way that seemed somewhat unique in that world. Like he appeared to have authentic friendships and relationships and a kind of a decency that seemed really unusual and really came to the forefront when he got that or at least it was visible when he got that Mark Twain award. And I see you and like Spade and all them and all of your crew sort of honoring him. And it seemed like I was like, well, that's...
They didn't want me to be there, by the way, CNN. They didn't want anything to do with me there. They said, does Rob have to tell jokes? You know, I remember because one of the segment producers is a friend of mine said, does Rob really want to, I mean, can we get him? Do we need him? And it's like, well, it would be very odd and very obvious in your, you know, for your show, how jaded it is. And I actually ran in at the airport, one of the Mark Twain, I guess she's one of the directors on the board of directors of that award show. And I said, can you please think about, like maybe a Gutfeld or something like that, somebody that that's somebody who's Republican, who's outwardly Republican, honoring. And after I thanked her for also honoring Adam Sandler, and she said, and I said, why don't you go for somebody Republican? And she said, outwardly. And she said to me, wouldn't that be divisive? So they're only divisive within their own liberal group. They don't want to be divisive within Democrats. So that's kind of where they're at. And I think that's why they're so inside their bubble that they couldn't understand how the American, they're so far left that they left the Americans behind, American people, and they couldn't see it, and they don't want to see it. And that's why they're still so confused as to why that form of elitism, which is Hollywood, which is leftism, which is the current form of it, the liberal intelligentsia, they just don't like Americans. They don't. I mean, they shit on them so much, Russell. That's what's so frustrating to me. Is that these people in the cities in Los Angeles and New York, they don't understand and they crap on it like, how dare these people vote Republican? These are the people, these are farmers, these are people growing their food, providing their families with a way to survive. These are the people, and it's not just the people out, outside of California, it's people out in California that are growing the food in California that are only about 2 hours away from them. And these are the people they despise. And I think that the Americans are good people, and to be trying to convince them that they're racist and that they're awful and that they're not generous and that they're inherently white supremacist. I mean, it's all nonsense and garbage, and it's divisive. And that hatefulness was finally rejected.
For the rest of this conversation, click the link in the description where it will be exclusively streamed on Rumble.
It's interesting because when they were talking about when Kamala was running,